Hi, I'm Assistant Professor Aditi Mathur, International Schools of Business Management, Suresh Ganbia University, Jaipur. And in today's video lecture, we'll be continuing with our topic that is EBIT EPS analysis. So let us just have a look on all the topics which we'll be covering in this video lecture. We'll be understanding and learn how to calculate the EBIT at different varying patterns, then what is financial break-even point and how to calculate financial break-even point. We will also understand that what do we mean by the indifference level or point and how to calculate it. So let's start with our first topic, that is calculation of the EBIT under different situations or the different patterns. So let us just understand this topic with solving a question. And as and when we will solve a question, you will understand what this topic is all about. And it will be a quick recap on how to calculate EBIT. So before we begin how to calculate EBIT, let us just have a quick recap on the formulas which we have discussed in our previous video. So to calculate EBIT, first we write our sales value and deduct our variable cost, and we land up to contribution. After that, we subtract our fixed cost, and the amount remaining is known as your EBIT, earning before interest and tax. From the EBIT, we first pay our interest element, we get EBT, then we deduct the tax, and we say that we have arrived at EAT. From this EAT, first we pay the preference dividend if we have preference shareholders. After that, the amount remaining is known as earnings available for equity shareholder, and from this we deduct our equity dividend, and the remaining amount is your retained earnings. So we don't come up to the retained earnings in EBIT EPS analysis. We just come up till here, that is EBIT, and then we learn the formula of how to calculate EPS. So the formula for the EPS is earnings available for equity shareholders divided by number of equity shares. And from this, we come up to our EPS, which is earning per share. So it's first, let's just read the question, that what the question is all about. Suppose there are three firms, X, Y, and Z. These firms are alike in all respects except the leverages. That means the leverage proportion is varying. Rest all the things, all the working, all the planning is same. The financial position of the three firms is presented as follows. That means they have given you the financial position of X, Y, and Z. So the equity share capital for the X is 2 lakhs, for the Y is 1 lakh, and for the Z is 50,000. The shares are issued at the price of 100 each. So from here we can calculate the number of equity share, right? Then we are saying that the company have 6% debenture, which is what? Which is our leverage part, which is varying. So for the X company, we don't have any leverage. For the Y, we have a leverage of 1 lakh rupees. And for the Z, we have a leverage of 1,50,000 rupees. So the total share capital for three firms is your 2 lakh each. Now let's just continue with the question. Further, they say that these firms are expected to earn a ROI at different levels depending on the economic conditions. In normal conditions, the ROI is expected to be 8%, which may fluctuate by 3% on either sides on the occurrence of bad economic condition or good economic condition. So by the 3% gap, it might vary. So there are three other economic economic conditions they are giving us. The first one is your good, then bad, and then your average, right? So they are saying that on an average normal basis, you earn 8%, but 3% up and down when the economy is good and bad. Right? So now let's just solve the question and understand how to calculate EBIT for these three companies, right? And at a different level. So first we should know how much that company is earning at all the three different economic conditions. So for that, we will prepare a table, and in that, we will first write poor economic condition, normal economic condition, and then good economic conditions, right? So the total assets is of 2 lakh, 2 lakh, and 2 lakh. ROI is 5%, 8%, 11%. Now, from where we got this 5% and 11%? Remember, in the question, they said that 3% up and down from the normal situation, that is your 8%. Right? So it was a hidden information and we have calculated it. Now we will be calculating the EBIT. So what is the formula of EBIT if you are given the ROI? So it is total assets into ROI, and this is how we get our EBIT in these types of questions, right? So for the poor economic condition, we have 2 lakh rupees as our total assets. So 5% of 2 lakh is 10,000. Then at normal conditions, we will have 16,000, and for the good economic conditions, we will earn 22,000 rupees as our EBIT. So now we know what are the interest element, because we know the debt component and the rate of debt at which it has been issued. So we know the interest payment, we know the tax because the tax slab is 50%, and we know how much is our EBIT. And we even know the formula how to calculate our EPS. And we can even easily calculate the number of shares. So how to calculate the number of shares? That is very easy. That means your total equity divided by 100, right? So you will get your number of shares. So for the X company, it is 2000. For Y, it is 1000. And for Z, it is 500, right? So what we did, we divided simply the share capital's equity amount with your 100 so that we can get the total number of equity shares. And 6% is our debenture rate. So we can easily calculate the interest. So for the first company, there is no interest element. For the Y, it is 1 lakh into 6%, and for the Z, it is 1 lakh 50 into 6%. So now let us just first calculate for the X and company where there is no financial leverages. That means that the company has issued the equity and they are having the capital structure of only equity. So for this, let us just first understand how to calculate EPS for X and company when we have poor economic condition, normal economic condition, and good economic condition. So first, we will write the EBIT amount, which we have written over here or calculated from this side, that is 10,000, 16,000, and 22,000. We don't have any interest element, that's why minus interest, it's 0, 0, 0. So our EBIT is 10, 16, and 22. Now we will deduct the tax, that is 50%. So 10,000, 50% is 5,000. 16,000's 50% is 8,000, and 22,000's 50% is 11,000. So our PAT is also 5,000, 8,000, and 11,000. And in these types of question, where we don't have any preference dividend, that is why our EAT or PAT is equal to earnings available for equity shareholder, because we don't have preference share capital over here, right? So we can directly divide it with our number of share, which we have calculated few minutes back. So 5,000 divided by 2,000 will give us our EPS, that is 2.5. For the normal conditions, we will have 8,000 divided by 2,000, we will have 4 as our EPS. And for the good economic condition, 11,000 divided by 2,000, that is 5.5 as our EPS. So we can see for the X and company, where there was no leverage, right, in our capital structure, in that the company is earning the EPS at 2.5, 4 and 5.5 when the economic condition is poor, normal and good. So we just have to simply understand what all elements are given in the question, what are the missing one, and what we have to calculate. And generally in the examination, you have to either calculate the EBIT or EPS, right? So we know the formulas, we know the flow chart, right? How to reach up to the EBIT or EPS. So just put the figures in the chart and just calculate it with the help of the calculators, and you can definitely easily land up to the final answers. So now let us just do it for the Y and company, where the leverage is 50%. So again, we are going to first write the EBIT amount in the three different economic conditions, that is your poor, normal and good. So it is 10,000, 16,000 and 22,000. Now again, we will first deduct our interest amount. Yes, we have interest over here, right? In first situation, that is your for the X company, we didn't had any leverage, so that's why we didn't took into the consideration our interest figure. But now in Y and company, we have interest, so we will be calculating. So we have already calculated, that is 6,000, and it will not change, right? So it will be 6,000 in each three of the economic condition, because the interest element is a fixed cost. It will not change if the economy is going good, bad or normal. So you will get the PAT as 4,000, 10,000 and 16,000. Now we will deduct the tax, which is at 50%. So 2,000, 5,000 and 8,000. Now we will come up to PAT, that is 2, 5 and 8. Now you can easily divide our PAT with the number of shares and come up to our EPS. So for the poor economy, it will be 2. For the normal, it will be 5. And for the good, it will be 8. Right? So if your company is having a good economic condition and you are having a 50% leverage, you are in that position to earn more of EPS. Right? So this is how we have calculated our EPS for Y and company. So now let us just quickly calculate it for our Z and company, where the leverage proportion is to 75%. So first of all, we will again write the EBIT for your poor, normal and good economic conditions. And then we will deduct the interest, which is 9,000, 9,000 and 9,000. Then your EBT, that is 1,000, 7,000 and 13,000. We will deduct the tax, which is at the rate of 50%, which is 500, 3,500 and 6,500. So now we are left with our PAT, or which we can also denote it as our earnings available for equity shareholders, that is 500, 3,500 and 6,500. Now it is very easy for us to calculate the EPS, because the formula for EPS is what? Earnings available for equity shareholder divided by number of shares. So that is how we come up to our EPS at 1, 7 and 13. Right? So isn't that easy? So you don't have to do much. You have to simply first understand what all figures are there in the question and what the question is asking from you, and simply just draw a tabular format, and in that just write down whatever is given. So first classify your capital structure so that it is easy for you to do the calculations of interest, of your dividends and all, and the tax rate also. And then later on, as per our format, that is your EBIT, interest, EBT, tax, EAT, then preference dividend if there, then EAES, and then how to calculate your EPS. Right? So it is very easy to calculate. So I'll request you all to solve this question one more time without looking at the answers. Just take a picture of this question and start solving it, right? And do these types of questions as many as you can, because if this concept is very clear, you will be very easily able to understand the upcoming topics which we will be covering. So let us just now see the next topic which we are going to cover in this video lecture, that is, what is financial break-even point. So the financial break-even point is the level of your earnings at EBIT at which, after paying interest, tax, preference dividend, nothing remains for the equity shareholder. That means it is a situation in which when you pay your interest, that is your EBT, then your tax, it is EAT, then your preference dividend, it is EA, ESH. This amount, earnings available for equity shareholders, is equal to zero. That means there is nothing left for the equity shareholders, right? And that is why that earning level, that means this value of EBIT, is known as your financial break-even point. That means it is that level at which you cover up all your fixed interest type expenses, right? So you are able to pay your interest, you are able to pay your tax, you can even pay your preference dividend if there, but you will not have anything left for your equity shareholders, right? So in another words, if I want to explain what is your financial break-even point, so financial break-even point is point, that level of EBIT at which firms can satisfy all the fixed charges, right? And when this EBIT is less than this level, the result of EPS will be negative. That means at present, if I am earning 10,000 as my EBIT and I am getting zero as my earnings available for equity shareholders. So if I will earn less than 10,000, my EPS will be negative, right? So it will be a situation which is very bad for your organization. And that is why every organization, every finance manager should know the financial break-even point. So it is very easy to understand. Financial break-even point is at that level of EBIT when there is nothing left for your equity shareholder. That means it is that level where your EPS is equals to 0, right? And you should know when your EPS will be 0, because definitely you will like to earn more than 0, and that is how your company will survive in the market. Otherwise, when your company will have 0 as your EPS, the shareholders will raise the question, they will have doubt in their heart and mind, and they will like to withdraw their investment. And we don't want that situation, right? We want that the shareholders are happy and we are creating wealth for the organization. Our ultimate motto of the financial management, of the corporate financial management, is to have maximum wealth, right? Wealth creation. So For that, we should know at what point our EPS is going to be 0. So let us just now understand how to calculate. So here we have a very small formula which help us out to calculate the EBIT amount at the level when your EPS is going to be 0, right? So your financial break even point is equals to that point where your EPS is equals to 0, right? And there is a mathematical expression to calculate EPS. So it is EPS is equals to EBIT minus your interest amount, multiply it with 1 minus tax, minus your preference dividend if any, divided by capital N, which denotes your total number of equity shares, right? So this is how actually we calculate EPS. It is a mathematical expression to calculate the EPS. So we know that the financial break-even point is a place where your EPS is 0. So 0 is equals to EBIT minus interest into 1 minus T minus preference dividend divided by N. When you will do the cross multiplication, you will arrive over here, that is EBIT will be equal to interest plus preference dividend divided by 1 minus T. Right? So this is how you come up to your EBIT. So don't get confused that these are the formulas which we have to learn. It is very easy. When you will do the question, you can easily understand. So the only thing which you should know right now is this thing, right? If you know this formula, if you know this expression, you can easily calculate the EPS or the indifferent point at which your EPS is equals to 0, and you can easily calculate that earning before interest and tax, that is your EBIT, at which your EPS is going to be 0, right? Because we want to know that earning level and we will like to earn more than that level so that our EPS is never 0 or never less than that amount, right? So to calculate that EBIT, we should first know this expression, right? So now let us just solve a question and understand that how to calculate the EBIT and how to compare the two plans if you have. So let us just see the question. A company has formulated the following financial plan to finance 15 lakh rupees, which is required for the company, right? And this is how your capital structure is designed. They have three plans, right, to raise their 15 lakh rupees which they require. So the first plan is to get the money from the equity share capital only. That means they don't want to have any preference share, they don't want to have any debt element, right? So they are raising their entire 15 lakh from the equity. In plan 2, they are going to have 10 lakh from equity and 5 lakh from the 8% debentures. And in plan 3, they will have 7 lakh 50,000 from the equity, 2 lakh 50,000 from the 8% debenture, and 5 lakh from the 10% preference share capital, right? Compute the financial break-even point for each alternative plan, assuming tax rate at the rate 50%. So they are asking us to calculate a break-even point, financial break-even point for all the three plans they have, right? So let us just first write the formula, which is financial break-even point is equals to EBIT minus interest into 1 minus T minus preference dividend divided by N, which is equals to 0. So always first mention the formula which we are going to use. Now let's just calculate the break-even point for plan A. So EBIT, which is we have to find out, will be denoted as EBIT because this is the amount which we want to calculate. Minus interest. So in plan 1, we don't have any interest amount, that's why 0, into 1 minus tax, which is 50%, that is 0.5, minus preference dividend. We don't have any preference dividend, which is also minus 0, divided by n. So now we have to calculate n, and I have told you in our previous question how to calculate n. That is your equity share capital amount divided by the face value, that is 10 for this question. So 15 lakh divided by 10, that is 1,50,000 shares, right? So when you will solve this, which is equal to 0, you will get this value, that is 0.5 EBIT minus 0 equals to 0. So when you will further solve it, you will come to know that EBIT is equals to 0. So that means if the company earns EBIT which is equals to 0, that point will be the break-even point for the organization in plan 1. Now, why this is? Because there is no fixed charges, because the company is wholly solely having the amount which is raised from the equity share capital. They don't have any fixed charges like your interest and your preference dividend, and that is why the company EBIT, that is your break even points EBIT, is 0. Now let us just calculate the financial break-even point for the plan 2, where the company have equity and debentures in their capital structure. So again, first we will write the formula and then we will plot the figures, whatever we know. So EBIT, which we have to calculate, minus 40,000. Why minus 40,000? Because 8% debentures of 5 lakh. So interest is equals to 5 lakhs 8%, which is your 40,000 rupees. So minus 40,000, again 1 minus tax, minus 0 because still they don't have any preference share dividend amount over here, and my divided by 1 lakh, that is your 10 lakh divided by 10, it is going to give you 1 lakh. And when you will do the cross multiplication and solve the equation, you will come to know that the EBIT is equals to 40,000. That means at plan 2, your EBIT is 40,000, right? And when you will earn 40,000 rupees as your earning before interest and tax, that situation, that EBIT is financial break-even point for your organization, at which your EPS is equals to 0. Right? So now let us just calculate the financial break-even point for your plan 3, where they have 3 components in their capital structure, that is equity share, debentures, and the preference share as well. So now we know that we have to calculate the EBIT. So EBIT minus 20,000, that is the interest rate which we have calculated, 2,50,000, 8%, into 1 minus 0.5 minus 50,000. So now we have the preference dividend amount with us, that is 5 lakhs 10% is the preference dividend, that is 50,000. When we will divide it with the number of equity shares, that is 75,000, and we will cross multiply and solve the equation, we will come up to EBIT, which is equals to 1,20,000. That means when you are in plan 3 and your company is earning the EBIT of 1,20,000, your EPS will be 0. Right? So you have to earn more than 1,20,000 to be in a good financial position to give something to these equity shareholders also. Because at the level of 0, 40,000 and 1,20,000, your equity shareholders are getting nothing because your EPS is zero. You are at financial break even point. So now, if I am a company and I know that I am at the plan 3 and I have earned more than 1,20,000, that means my equity shareholders are also going to earn some dividend. They will be paid out, right? But if I am earning less than 1,20,000, let's take I'm earning 1 lakh rupees, that means it is a situation in which I don't have that much amount of money also to pay my fixed cost, like your dividend, preference dividend, or your interest amount which you have to pay to your debenture holders, right? So it is that point at which you know that if your company is earning less than that, your EPS might go negative, and if your company is earning more than this, your company is going to earn good amount of money, and your equity shareholders will also earn some dividend. So isn't that easy to calculate your financial break even point for the organization when you know the capital structure, right? So you just need to know one formula, that is financial break even point is equals to EBIT minus interest multiply 1 minus tax minus preference dividend divided by capital N, that is the number of equity shares, which is equals to 0. And simply just put the figures as per your capital structure and calculate the EBIT, where your EPS will be equal to 0, right? So now let us just discuss our very important topic for today's video lecture, that is indifferent levels, or which is also sometimes known as indifferent point. So indifferent level of EBIT is one at which your EPS is same irrespective to your capital structure. That means if you have your plan A and plan B, where debt is to equity ratio might be 50-50 or 60-40, at both these level, your EPS will be same. That means either you have plan A or you have plan B, your EPS will be same, right? Out of several available financial plan, firm may have 2 or more financial plans, which results in the same level of EPS for a given EBIT. So that means it is that level of EBIT at which either you have A or B, you are going to end up with the same EPS. So it doesn't matter that how much debt or equity component your company is having at this point, because this is that level of earning, that is EBIT, where for the both the plans, your company is earning same EPS, right? So now let us just look at an example and understand these types of situation and calculate that point. So let us just take an example of X Company Limited. It is planning for an expansion program. It requires 20 lakhs for the external financing, for which it is considering 2 alternatives. So total amount which is required for X company is your 20 lakhs, and they have 2 alternatives. So the first alternative is like by issuing 15,000 equity shares at the rate of 100 and 5,000 10% preference shares of 100 each. This is your first situation, right? So this is your first plan or the first alternative in which you will have a combination of equity share and 10% preference share only. In the second alternative, you have equity share of 10,000, preference share of 2,000, and the rest remaining 8 lakh rupees is issued with the help of the debentures, which is of 9%, right? So let me just write your alternative 1 and alternative 2. So in 1 you have equity and preference, whereas in 2 you have equity, preference and your debentures also. Further, we are given the information that the company is in the tax bracket of 50% and you are required to calculate the indifferent point for the plans and verify your answer by calculating the EPS. So this is how you will actually know that at this point your EPS will be safe. So we have to calculate that point at which the company, if they go with the alternative A or B, your EBIT will be same so that your EPS will be equal. So now let us just first draw the capital structure so that it is easy for us to do the calculation. So for plan A, we have 15 lakh equity share capital and 5 lakh 10% preference. For plan B, we have 10 lakh equity share capital, 2 lakh 10% preference share capital, and 8 lakh 9% debentures. So the total capital for both the plans is 20 lakh. The number of equity shareholders for plan A, we have 15,000, and for plan B, we have 10,000. So now we have to calculate the EBIT where your EPS is same. So we know how to calculate the EPS. We have learned that formula, that is your EBIT minus your interest into 1 minus 3 minus preference dividend divided by n. So when we are saying that EPS for first and EPS for 2 is same, so we can easily say that your EBIT for plan A, where interest for A 1 minus preference dividend divided by n will be equal to EBIT for plan B or 2 minus interest into your 1 minus T minus preference dividend whole divided by N2, right? Because the EPS for both these plans is same and we have to calculate this level of EBIT when your EPS is same. So for this question, we have assumed our EBIT to be x. So x will be common over here and here. So when we put the elements into the formula, we get x into 1 minus 0.5. Why? Because we don't have interest in plan A, right? In plan 1. So that is why directly we are using the this part. That is 1 minus 0.5 minus 50,000 divided by 15,000. And for the alternative 2, we have this x minus 72,000 into 1 minus 0.5 minus 20,000 divided by 10,000. So both are equal. When we will solve this equation, cross multiply it, do it step by step, we will come up to our x, which is equals to 1,36,000. So it is that level of earning, if you are earning, right, where your EPS for plan 1 and plan 2 will be same, right? So this is that level of EBIT. So let us just first check it, cross check it. So what we are going to do is that we are going to use the 1,36,000 as our EBIT and going to calculate EPS for plan 1 and 2, because the question also asks us to cross verify our calculation and we should also just recheck, and this is how you can also have a trust that yes, this formula is correct. So now let us just write 1,36,000 as our EBIT for both the plans. We will deduct our interest. For plan 1, we don't have any interest, but for plan 2, we have 72,000. So our EBT is 136 and 64. Then we will deduct the tax, which is at the rate of 50%. So your EAT after deduction of tax is 68,000, 32,000. We will deduct the preference dividend, which is 50,000, 20,000. You will get earning available for equity shareholders, that is 18,000 and 12,000. Your number of equity shares for plan A is 15,000 share and for plan B is 10,000 share. So your EPS is going to be 1.2, 1.2, which is same, right? So this is how we calculate the indifferent EBIT is same even if you go with any of the two alternatives you have to raise the capital, right? So this is the level where your EPS will be same. So now let us just have a quick recap on what we have covered today. So before that, let us just see this graphical approach to how to calculate the indifferent point. So this was your plans A and this is your plan B and this is your indifferent point, right? So over here, if you will go beyond the indifferent point, you will be in a debt advantage, and below that you will be in the equity advantage, right? Over here your x-axis represents EBIT and y-axis represents your EPS, right? So this is how you can graphically know which is your indifferent point, where the both the lines intersect, that is your indifferent point. So now let us just have a quick recap of what all we have learned today. So today we have learned very important calculations. That means how to calculate the EBIT at different earning patterns, right? So this was one of the question, a very good question in which I think you have learned and you might have now understood how to calculate the EPS. Then we understood the concept of your financial break-even point. So financial break-even point is that level of earning, is that level of EBIT where your EPS is equals to 0, right? So this was the formula of calculating your financial break-even point. Then we did a question with 3 plans. Then we understood the concept of indifference point. It is that level of EBIT where your EPS is same for two or more alternatives, right? So we have understood for the alternative where you have 2 plans, right? This was a question in which they have plan 1 and plan 2. And this is how we rechecked our EPS level in the question where your EBIT was 1,36,000 for both the plan and we landed up to the same EPS. So now let us just have a quick recap of what we have studied today with the helps of the MCQ. So I have 10 questions with me and we will solve them up right now and check our grades, that how much we are scoring and how much we have learned. So these are the first 2 questions on your screen. Question number 3 and question number 4. Question number 5 and question number 6. Question number 7 and question number 8. Question number 9 and question number 10, the last two MCQ for the day. So now let's just check how much you have scored out of 10. So the correct answer for the question number 1 is option E. For 2, the correct answer is option A. For 3, it's D. For 4, it's C. For 5, it's E. For 6, it is A. For 7, it's B. For 8, it is D. For question number 9, the correct option is A. And for question number 10, the correct option is D. I do hope that you have scored 10 on 10. Thank you for watching today's video lecture. Thank you and happy learning.